I spent over £1,000 on domain names before I even knew properly what my business was going to do. Honestly, it made me lose focus nearly entirely. I thought naming my business would be easy, but turns out it's actually really difficult. I knew that I wanted to create courses for the engineering world, right? Software engineers, engineering managers, etc. And in that world, I have two things that I love most, that I really enjoy most. That is building the next generation of leaders, but also helping junior engineers, because I really vividly remember what it felt like to be a junior engineer. Feeling really vulnerable and feeling really exposed. Are they going to see how rubbish I am at this? Are they going to see how much I can't do? Am I asking too many questions? Do I need too much help? All of those I remember feeling, and actually after talking to so many people, that is still a thing. Like that, those feelings haven't gone. I've always wanted to do something to help juniors, but also I've wanted to ensure that our next generation of engineering leadership is solid and that they don't have experiences that I had when I was coming through the ranks, if you like. I once had a manager, and the first day of my new job told me, remember, you're just a resource here. And that's a huge red flag, right? And I wish at the time that I would have been able to see that and quit and be like, oh, I stand on my laurels. You don't talk to me like that, etc. However, I just wanted the job. I didn't really know much about red flags and like stuff like that. And I just wanted the job so badly. My foot was in the door. It was one of my first jobs in the finance industry, which I really wanted to work in. And I was so proud of myself that I didn't want to necessarily ruin it on the first day. I want to make sure that our engineers that are coming up now don't have experiences like that. Or if I can play any part in limiting that. That identity crisis between do I do stuff for junior engineers and do I do stuff for engineering leadership actually bled straight into the naming process. I've always been inspired by two sites, two edtech platforms. Edtech, I think, is the word we're going with in terms of category of business, edtech. See, I'm learning more every day, but I was always inspired by two existing platforms. One was Data Expert, built by Zach Wilson. He's someone I know off LinkedIn, and he's someone that I look up to. And also Algo Expert, which is made by a popular YouTuber called Clement Mihalescu. And they've always inspired me. One thing I also actually really like is actually the name, like that word expert, like data expert, software engineer expert, algo expert. I think it's snappy. I think it's short and snappy, and I liked it. So when I said about my identity crisis of do I choose junior stuff to focus on or engineering leadership stuff to focus on, actually bought were juniorengineeringexpert.com.io and .co.uk, and also engineeringleadershipexpert.com.io and .co.uk. Now, one thing I want you to know is that .io domains, for some reason, are really expensive. Just for 1 year, these were the best part of, I don't know, I think it was like 80 or £100 or something like that. Just for 1 year. This was an expensive mistake because I said, I'll just sit on these for a bit and see where it goes. I'll get both of them because I was thinking, oh, what if someone has the same idea as me in the meantime? And I just panicked and bought them both. This cost me a lot of money. What I was trying to do was bootstrap the business. I was trying to say to myself, okay, if I can release something for under a few £100, under £200, this whole platform, that'd be amazing. I've already got some good recording equipment. I've already got a Mac and all the things I need to do because of the courses I've created before for Dome Train. I've already got that stuff. So I thought I could do this easily. However, these domains that I've bought, the Junior Engineering Expert and the Engineering Leadership Expert, already cost me £200. Already cost me over £200. So I'm already down and I haven't even decided on the name. And those two aren't even the ones I actually ended up with. After a while, I started thinking about, okay, do I just pick one and go really something really quick and really cheap? And I know that's the advice they give you. I know people say that, okay, just release it as fast and dirty as you can, improve the market. But when it's your baby, it's the thing that you're building, That is so much harder to do. And I've never been in that position before where it's just my thing. So I am leaning on, I want to build this properly, right? I want this premium content. I want it to be sharp. I want it to be spick and span. And I don't want to release it unpolished. And it might be the wrong move. Maybe in hindsight it will be. And you could argue that if it doesn't work, if I release this business doesn't work, makes no money, no one learns anything from it, that in hindsight that was the wrong move. But this is my move. And the key thing is that I'm learning. And if I have to do this over again and I try another entrepreneurship thing again, I try to build a business again, I'm going to learn from this. And that's really important to me, that I stick true to myself and what I want to do. Because one thing about me is I always learn the hard way. And that I don't think that's about to stop. I was eventually narrowing down on domain names, and I did pick the engineering leadership route. It felt more aligned to my day job. I was learning it currently in my day job, and that's what I talked about in my newsletter, and that's what I talk about on LinkedIn and Twitter, what have you. Those are the sort of things that I talk about and I feel like I'm known for. So I feel like that was a natural path for me, knowing that I can keep the expensive domain name I bought now for Junior Engineering Expert, which I actually think is quite a good one, and use that later down the line if I want to. But just as I started to unravel that bit, I started to have an actual another crisis. I thought, oh, do I now do it for just engineering managers, or do I do it for engineering managers looking to grow into an engineering director, or do I do it just for ICs wanting to learn like soft skills, leadership skills, or do I do it for tech leads, or do I do it for all of them, all of the above, and try and fill all them gaps? And that was another crisis I actually tried to lean in on a bit. So you can see how I was trying to work out, am I trying to serve too many people? If I just go down, for example, the engineering management route, would I lose part of the audience? Or if I try to do them all, i.e. ICs, tech leads, and engineering managers, if I tried to compass a bigger market, would people get annoyed that I might have been only doing half job for each one of those customers? And guess what? I couldn't decide. So what did I do? Went and bought another domain, engineeringmanagementexpert.io.com.co.uk. And guess what? I've now almost doubled the bootstrap budget that I originally started with. Well, not almost, I have. I originally started with. And this is, for me now, I'm getting a lot of options. And I'm still not happy with it, if I'm honest with you. At this point, I'm still not happy with the name. This might look like chaos and confusion to you, like this person has no idea what they're doing. But remember, I learn by failing, and I learn on the go. So for me, there was actually a path through this chaos. But it might seem like I'm flailing, but honestly, I was figuring it out. I had overcome roadblock after roadblock, but had overcome each one each time. And I moved on to another one. So just because I was at this roadblock doesn't mean that was the start of my journey. If you look back, it might be shrouded in clouds, but still there's a clear path through those clouds to how I got to this point, which I think is important for me to understand. And hopefully you can see that. In reality, it was messy. It was expensive, this whole thing. And it did look chaotic. But this is me just being vulnerable. This is me building in public. This is me showing you things that I can guarantee every founder goes through, but it just doesn't show you. They only show you the glitz and the glamour and the polished version, whereas I'm here saying I spent £1,000 on domain names and I had no idea what I was doing. That's vulnerable, and I think actually that a lot of people might resonate with that. So by this point, I had engineering management expert, I had engineering leadership expert, and for me, I did decide that I wanted to do the engineering leadership topic, not just the engineering management topic. So tech leads and engineering managers, and as a whole, as a compass, because I actually didn't focus on the market too much. I actually focused on what I enjoy, and I would enjoy that more. And for me, I think I'm going to deliver a better product if I enjoy it. So I went with that whole market. And even if that's a mistake, I'm going to enjoy making that mistake much more than I would if it was something else. And I'll learn from it, and I'll learn to go more narrow next time. But still, this is the path we're going down. So as a result, I had engineering manager expert, engineering leadership expert, and they both just felt clunky. They felt too big. You could never write them on a t-shirt and the logo would be the size of the Nile River. It doesn't really roll off the tongue like data expert or algo expert. So I had to find a way of really getting that down a bit, to be honest with you, because I wanted it to be more snappy. I wanted it to roll off the tongue more. And then I went with Eng leader expert, and it was better. It was better, but still that leader part in the middle really did annoy me a bit. And I ended up on Eng lead expert. I think it's a really good name. I think it does what it says. I think I'm going to deliver what the domain name says, make you an engineering leader expert, hopefully. And I think it's the right one to go forward with at the moment. I think it's cleaner. I think it's shorter. I think it's more brandable, actually, Eng lead expert. And yeah, that's the one I ended up on. I spent over £1,000 on domain names, and I'm still not sure if I've got it right. The big question that keeps me up at night on this is, am I trying to do too much? Am I trying to go too slowly? Is the audience too broad? What I'm trying to work out is, are these questions fear talking or are they genuine questions? And it's probably a bit of both. Ultimately, I don't know yet. But what I do know is this is my journey and I'm building in public, and I've got to learn by making these decisions. If I never make these decisions one way or another, wrong or right, I'm never going to learn. And that for me is one of the most important parts of this. If I'm building in public and I don't show you the messy parts, what's the point?